the Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG. Open makes more possible.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
Here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
All right. I'm Chris.
Marin.
We got a new president.
We're back. We made it. Yep.
Yeah.
We officially made it all the way through.
The country was only on fire for one out of the 4 years.
Yeah. And we've got a Democratic president and Democratic majority in the House and the Senate. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they can get something done.
Buckle up, baby.
You know, there was already a slew of why do I always forget the name of them? The orders that they sign.
Oh, executive.
The unilateral. What are they called?
The executive orders.
Yes, So there was already a slew of executive orders. Nothing from nothing pertaining to cannabis in any of that, of course. I can't see them making a move federally on it with an executive order like that.
No,
but
Congress has got to be involved.
But I'm generally not a big fan of the executive order process in general. I think it's been abused a hell of a lot in recent history. That being said, you know, most of what Biden's been doing is just unexecutive ordering Trump's executive order.
Yeah, he snuck a few things in there,
which I'm kind of fine with.
Which I find it funny. 4 years ago, he's not a king. He can't do it. It's just funny how the temperature changes when your guy's in there. But whatever.
Barry was a big proponent of using the executive order, especially when he lost control of the Senate.
Yeah,
and couldn't pass legislation as easily, so he whipped out the old pen. Said, "I'll do it myself."
Mm-hmm.
So used it a hell of a lot. Trump used it a hell of a lot. Now Biden's looking to break records with this shit. So, I mean, like I said, most of it's undoing things that I think should never have been put into place by executive order in the first place. So I guess I'm okay with it, but I'm not okay with this escalation of the. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Why did we start talking about executive orders?
we got a new president.
We have a new president, new day. Democracy made it. Yay.
Yeah. But everybody, The Simpsons did not predict Kamala Harris, all right? It's not. No. Did you see this?
I didn't. I know that I've learned to just ignore anything that it was a Simpsons prediction. It used to be fun. Now it's just ridiculous.
Because Lisa Simpson was vice president and wore a purple suit in a fantasy. So that predicted Kamala Harris.
What?
Yeah, that was yes. Because Lisa Simpson wore a purple suit in a fantasy where she was vice president, that predicted Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris and Jill Biden and Michelle Obama, those women looked fan-fucking-tastic on Inauguration Day. They looked like fucking X-Men. I was like, give these asses a superhero team. Make this the new Avenger.
I didn't watch any of that. I just know the entertainment was way better this time around.
I didn't watch any of the. I guess they broadcast like the inauguration party, whatever. Mm-hmm. What was the where the New Radicals were getting back together to play.
I think that wasn't that the thing Hanks hosted?
Right. So I was thinking the New Radicals were going to be performing at the actual inauguration.
No.
It wasn't. It was J-Lo.
Yeah.
So
no, this is way better than Chachi and.
Not that I'm like a fan, but honestly, that's a good song.
It was way better entertainment 4 years ago when we had Chachi and Toby Keith and Antonio Sabato Jr. and whoever the fuck else they could try to find.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it, and I about halfway through Biden's speech, I got really sleepy. You know what? I'm glad. It was a good speech. It was a good speech.
You know what I'm happy about? The president is boring again.
Yes, that's what it was. I sleep because I was relaxed, because I was like, okay, we did it. I don't know why I sounded like Trump right now. All right, okay.
Yeah, okay. We're back to the president's on.
Right.
Oh, thank God.
That's what it is. Yes. Like, I should be able to say, wake me if he says anything important.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying let's go back to not paying attention to politics. Let's not have a laser focus on everything that the president does.
Yes. Let's not have the president driving every part of the news cycle at all hours of the day. Yeah. Let's not have the president making news at 1 a.m.
Yeah. So I took a nap. I took a long ass nap, and I felt good about it. I felt so rested after that. I woke up. We had a new president, and I didn't have to worry about him tweeting something that could get somebody hurt or could fuck up somebody, get somebody fired.
For a guy who doesn't drink, he tweeted like a drunk person.
He did, yeah.
Maybe he should have drank. Maybe that was the problem.
Oh, can you imagine?
Well, he'd probably be dead by now.
Unless
his diet is.
Unless he was actually a lovable drunk. That's feasible. Like, maybe if he actually got drunk every once in a while, he'd be like, you know what, I actually love you, and I feel bad about certain things that I've done, and maybe actually show just a little bit of a human side. I don't know. But nah, I mean, more likely he would just be a raging alcoholic and 10 times worse of a human being.
Probably just be dead.
You're just teasing me.
At mid-70s, you can't eat all fast food and drink. You probably get only one.
Right.
Let's be honest. One or the other.
Well, we did lose some people since we talked last time. We lost some weirdos. And, I like weirdos. And Larry King, but I'm talking about Larry King and Phil Spector. Now, I'm not drawing any correlation between these two because they were very different people, other than the fact that they were two people that you never saw a picture of them looking young.
Yeah, right. They were just born at 50.
Yeah, apparently. But they're both just weirdos, man. Like, Larry King was kind of a weirdo, right?
Larry King showed all broadcasters show prep you don't need show prep. We need show prep for. You just go turn on the mic, start talking.
I think you need more show prep when you have less actual talent and engagement going on. So I don't know, Terry Gross does a team of people that are doing research and show prep for her, but she's also wanting to get into, stuff that, maybe the person doesn't want to talk about. Maybe they have something darker in their past that she wants to, kind of crack them open on. And it's not really the kind of thing that you want to blindside with it. But she manages to keep it conversational enough and is willing to go off on tangents, knowing that she can get back on track.
Well, no, I'm not. No, that's just being a good broadcaster. I'm talking about there were straight up times Larry King got caught not knowing who he was talking to or what, just straight up not knowing things about his guests that he should.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is that I understand where Larry was coming from about not wanting to know too much and to be able to keep it lively, but that's also a crutch that he was kind of leaning on.
You should have known that the person who just ended the #1 show for the last 15 years quit. He didn't get canceled.
Right.
That's the famous Seinfeld clip.
Yeah. And that, of course, went around again. That's one of the more famous clips from his history.
Can we get a resume in here?
Yeah. And so Seinfeld actually commented on this recently because it was going around again. And he said that he was kind of kidding. You know, he was kind of making a bit out of it, which I can see. You know, I've watched it. I've seen the clip a few times now. Mm-hmm. I can see that he's pushing it for comedic effect, yes. But that doesn't mean that he's also kind of just offended, right?
He's still kind of like, I mean, it is kind of borderline douchey. It is kind of like, don't you know who I am? But to be fair, at the time, it was like the biggest thing in the country. Seinfeld ending, like everybody was fucking talking about. It was huge. And you work in the media, you work on CNN, and you don't know this? Like, I can understand why he was pissed.
Right. Well, also just baffled, like that you don't know this. Because we don't get a whole lot of stories of people walking away at their peak, right? We have Seinfeld and Chappelle from recent history.
You went on a high note, like George told him to. Right. Took George's advice.
So and also I kind of sympathize for Seinfeld in that, and not to rag on Larry, because like I don't understand Larry King's career. He just got lucky, like many people do. You know, and he's not a great interviewer, but that lack of preparation has given us so many great memorable moments. And, you know, he got something out of Jerry Seinfeld that nobody else did. He was going on the whole fucking circuit. Everybody wanted to talk to him about how can you not get canceled. Like, you have the number one show, the biggest show on television. You're a huge star. You're a household name, and you chose to end your show. Everybody wanted to talk to this guy. And Larry King got an opportunity and got something out of him, like a real human reaction. That wasn't, you know, something that was just the same old thing that he was probably telling the other interviewer. So, you know, it did work to his advantage at times. Other times it just got kind of embarrassing how much of a bubble he was in. Like, what was the guy, the DuckTales voiceover, the voice? I can't remember his name. That was another famous one where, here it is. He was a voice actor on DuckTales, and Larry's asking him, you know, I guess he has like format questions that he likes to wrap up with, which I think is always dumb, but some people have success with them. Alan Alda does them on his podcast all the time.
Like James Lipton used to do?
Yeah. Right? And those types of questions aren't really so much interesting on their own as they are as a whole, so that you could string together a clip of, you know, 100 actors all answering the same James Lipton question.
That's old school, though, man.
Yeah.
That list of questions.
But anyway, so one of the questions that he asked him is, what's one luxury you couldn't live without? And the actor that he's interviewing says, I don't know, coffee. I really like my coffee. And he's like, that's not a luxury. Everybody has coffee. And he's like, I don't know then. What? Socks. I like nice socks. I got these nice socks on, you know, they're kind of expensive for socks. And he's like, but everybody has socks. That's not a luxury. Like, what's one thing that a luxury, something that you wouldn't want to live without, that not everybody has access to it. And the guy's like, I don't know, Larry. Why don't you tell me what a luxury is? What luxury should I have? And Larry goes, a private jet. And he just almost falls out of his chair. And he goes, Larry, I'm on DuckTales. And that's just like, that's not just about not being prepared. That's about like really being in a bubble. Like, I get it. You're used to talking to fucking Michael Douglas or somebody, or Sharon Stone, you know, somebody who has a fucking private jet probably. But you got to know who you're talking
I'm
to.
not,
Like,
Larry, I'm not actually Scrooge McDuck.
Right? Yeah, I just voice him. I don't have the big pile of money.
Actually, I think the guy who voiced Scrooge McDuck was the guy who used to play Wilbur on Mr. Ed. Don't ask me why the fuck I know that.
Was it?
I think he was the original voice of Scrooge McDuck.
So he was the guy who was the owner of, he was Mr. Ed's owner.
Yes.
I did not know that.
I don't know why that factoid is swimming around in my head, but it is.
Dude, I didn't know. I was listening to NPR. I was listening to Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and they had Mandy Patinkin on. And they started talking about The Princess Bride, and I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Had no idea that he's in the movie. And honestly, like, I didn't know who Mandy Patinkin was until I started watching, and I was, man, it's awesome, dude.
He was a big Broadway guy.
Where did this guy come from?
Broadway.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, he has a real. I just didn't ever recognize him.
Yeah, he didn't get into like movies and TV till he was old.
And he was fucking Inigo Montoya.
Yeah,
that blew my fucking mind. Couldn't believe I'd lived that long lived to 45 years old without knowing that.
Yeah, that's what he looks like without a beard.
Dude, I don't know why he hides that fucking fantastic chin of his behind any kind of facial hair.
Money. Showtime said, hey, would you like to be in a show for 10 years?
Oh, hey, he hasn't, no, I don't, that's just his preferred thing. I mean, he's a TikTok star now.
Who, Mandy
Patinkin. Him and his wife make
TikTok
funny
for
videos.
Like 12-year-olds?
Nah, I mean, it's just for whoever. I mean, look, I think it started around ramping up to the election. He was making a lot of videos about, get out and vote and support Biden and all this stuff. And he was doing it on TikTok. Younger audience was seeing him and going, hey, who's this funny grandpa? I wish, Mandy Patinkin also came up on Penn Jillette's podcast this week, and he said he was so Penn was talking to somebody who is like, I don't know, a writer or somebody who worked on Homeland in some aspect. And he asked them about, what's her name, who played
Claire Danes?
The lead. Yes, thank you. Asked about Claire Danes because he's kind of had this thing with friends. Some of them think that, like, Claire Danes has to be, nobody's that good of an actor. Like, she has to be legitimately crazy. There's no way that she's acting in some of those scenes.
Well, that's kind of insulting.
They're convinced. I know, right? So.
Nobody acts that good. She's just nuts.
Right. So Penn Jillette asked this, this person who had worked on the show, he says, give it to me straight. How crazy is Claire Danes? And the person said to him, Penn, I work on a show with Mandy Patinkin on it. Mandy Patinkin is so crazy, I wouldn't know. It's like you're asking me how bright is a matchstick when you hold it up to the sun. Like compared to Mandy Patinkin, Claire Danes completely sane, totally normal. Couldn't tell you.
Oh, so he's nutty?
Oh yeah, apparently, yeah. And that's why people love his TikTok. He plays, again, I know him mostly from Homeland, and he plays a reserved character on that. Not that he can't be very passionate and he can't chew some scenery when he needs to, but he's usually the guy whose job it is to keep his cool. And on TikTok, he's what apparently is the normal zany Mandy Patinkin, who is thankfully still with us. We were talking about deaths. The other weirdo, we're talking about weirdos, Phil Spector. I mean, weirdo is generally a term that I use lovingly in this way. I mean, I love the weirdo side of Phil Spector. I don't love the murdering side of Phil Spector, obviously. And, sure, it can be difficult, especially when you're looking at somebody who's taken somebody else's life to separate the art from the artist. But kind of an undeniable catalog of timeless sounding hit songs that he produced. So kind of just speaks for itself. It's almost just a shame that, you know, if he wasn't such a powerful person and wasn't able to get away with all of this nonsense, like somebody might have been able to rein this guy in and maybe get him some of the mental help that he obviously desperately needed.
Yeah, it sounds like he was one of those people who straddled the line between genius and crazy.
And, you know, like we're wont to do when somebody is expressing genius, you know, it's this mystical thing, right? We don't know where it comes from, so we don't want to tamper with it. We can't tell Phil Spector to leave his gun at home because, I don't know, like you start reining that guy in and all of a sudden he's not coming out with #1 hits. So don't disturb the goose that's laying the golden egg, even if it is brandishing a loaded weapon around the studio.
If he's pointing a pistol at you and telling you to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
Yes. Yeah, no. Play it like it's on the chart. Only he's got a gun pointed at you telling you that.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Playing it like the chart, sir.
Yeah.
But the Wall of Sound.
Surprised everything didn't come out sounding like a John Philip Sousa march.
Right.
Be so on the beat.
But the Wall of Sound. Like,
yeah.
Dude, he did so much for audio production.
And that's the other side of it too. Like, you know, if he was reined in, maybe he wouldn't. You know, if people were saying no to Phil Spector and saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't have a horn section. No, you can't have 5 tambourine players. No, you can't have your gun at the studio. Like, maybe he just doesn't get away with any of that shit and he never gets his vision. I'm not trying to say that, like, there's a case to be made for letting artists get away with heinous shit because they might produce genius. But I know that's...
Michael Jackson?
Right.
R. Kelly until 2 years ago.
Oh, plenty of...
We tend to look the other way.
Heinous people. Yes. It's unfortunate that we look the other way on that. And
Chris Brown can dance. Who gives a fuck? He tried to beat the fuck out of Rihanna.
And I don't know. It's such a fraught thing to try and parse out, right? Because it's not like you're trying to compare the life of a person to a body of artwork, you know, of songs. Like, if it were somehow magically up to me, I was given a monkey's paw and said, hey, you can wish, what was the woman's name that he killed? With one wish, you can have her back and she can, you know, I don't know, just be alive again. Like it never happened. But nobody remembers any of Phil Spector's songs. He never records any of that shit. Like, yeah, I'd do it. It's a fucking human life, right? Like, I'm not... There's no amount of artwork or quality of artwork that I would pick over a human life. But, you know, it is what it is. And I think thankfully that, you know, people haven't tried to bury the work of Phil Spector. You know, he'll have a legacy that lives on, and it will be secondary to being a murderer. You know, in the future, people will go, hey, you hear that production on that? That's Phil Spector. Oh, that guy. Seems like he's produced a lot of great stuff that we've heard from that era. Hey, did you know that he was a murderer and went to jail? No shit. That's weird, right? It'll be the catalog that ultimately prevails. And in that way, it becomes bigger than him. You know, that's kind of how you separate the art from the artist. Understanding that the art, once released in the world, doesn't belong to the artist anymore. And especially in the instance of the producer being the artist, right? Phil Spector doesn't just get to decide that I want to re-record the Do Run Run whenever he wants.
Or does he?
Or maybe he does. Maybe he did, yeah. If he brings enough guns, I'm sure he could get away with whatever. No, we're recording to do run until I say we stop.
Yeah, for 9 hours.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG, open makes more possible. London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG, open makes more possible.
ChristopherMedia.net.
The Weedsman Podcast.
You know, another visionary and impactful producer that I was going to say reading about, but this was a podcast that I was listening to. It was about King Tubby, who's that? King Tubby was the guy who invented dub. So he was the guy who
Jamaican dub, not like wah 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 wah. Yeah, gotcha.
Right, yeah, not modern like dubstep type of dub, but actual dub music, which was an offshoot from reggae, and it was basically was like the dance mix. They would take a reggae song and they'd run it back through the board, and he'd run all of his effects on channels as well, and he could like turn reverbs on and off and do like reverb swells and delay swells with them and all that stuff, and really just concentrate on the beat, and all the horns and voice and all that stuff would fade in and out. So it was the original remix. He was just doing a remix. Mm-hmm. The B-side of reggae single, wouldn't have all the lyrics on it. It would be the dance version of it. And that's what they were for. They would have dance halls, and they wanted your reggae song might be 2.5 minutes long. And just like what was happening with disco, where they're like, hey, these funk records are great, but they're 3 minutes long and people are still grooving. So they start bouncing those beats back and forth and keeping that beat going with 2 records, 2 copies of the same, and that goes into disco. So now you just loop that beat and make the song 7-8 minutes long, keep people on the dance floor. That's what dub was, keeping people on the dance floor. Just give them that beat, get that bass really swelling in the room, keep people sweating, and you want a 6 or 7 minute version of that shit. And you get to take out all the vocals, so now you can mix from one to the other. And the reason that King Tubby was so to production, why beyond people, like most people don't, they're not familiar. They're familiar with reggae and they've probably heard some dub, but they couldn't tell you the difference if pressed. But the techniques that he used in the studio were really innovative. And that was actually one of these key steps in the progress of electronic music. Even though he was not doing any electronic music, the techniques of remixing and using the studio as an instrument would definitely carry on later onto, people who were sampling, funk and jazz records, making early hip hop, making early techno. These are all the examples of not just, the instrument and the musician both also being the producer and the studio, all kind of being one entity. And here's an interesting fact about this. Tubby did not smoke. cannabis.
Really?
Yep.
Even with a song called the Ja Ja Dub?
Yep.
No cannabis?
Well, again, he was, he didn't, as far as Tubby didn't write anything, he was just the producer that would do these dubs. So he was taking, all these songs about cannabis, I'm sure there's a lot of them, and remixing those. So yeah, I mean, it was around, but not in his studio. Which is crazy because it's like the most drugged out version of reggae, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you want to show in your movie that people are hanging out and smoking pot, you got some reggae on in the background. And when you want to show that somebody has smoked pot for the first time in that group, or maybe has smoked too much, then you shift into dub because all the fucking bump, womp, 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 and all that shit starts going. All the reverb and delay and all the crazy vocals coming in and out. I mean, it sounds like you're fucked up. But yeah, I was looking for, I had heard this on the podcast that I was listening to is Seriously, which is an offshoot of the BBC. And they were doing a whole piece on King Tubby, and they had mentioned that he wasn't a cannabis smoker. And I wanted to find some info to back that up, and I couldn't find a whole lot, but I did come across some guy's blog that was talking about it. And, well, I think I lost my place on this. But he was just talking about how it wasn't just that he wasn't a smoker, like, it didn't happen in the studio. Like, he did not like it around him at all. He was not in any way linked with marijuana.
Wow.
Only tangentially through the artists that he worked with.
And so did he pass away recently?
Oh, no, I think he's been dead for a while.
Oh, you just brought him?
No.
Just bring up producers?
Yeah, no, just talking about Phil Spector made me think about King Tubby, and that would be a good opportunity. So have you watched anything interesting? It's kind of a bit of a TV drought, all those. There's definitely there's WandaVision that dropped, although I know that you're not a Disney subscriber, and given that I
have a login. I was given a login.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. WandaVision's an interesting show.
What is the whole? I'm trying to figure out what it is just by when I saw the commercials for it. What is it?
Yeah. Normally with this stuff, I'm kind of fairly. I can identify it and go, well, this is either going to be something that a casual fan would be interested in versus, something would be more fan servicey and more, linked to the history of the comic books and expecting you to come in with a certain amount of knowledge. And this really is neither. It doesn't fall into any one of those categories. I don't even know how to recommend it. Like, you may enjoy it, you may not. It's just kind of a weird show.
It's like the Truman Show on acid? Like what is it?
Well, yeah, it's some sort of reality warping thing is going on, right? Which is what the Scarlet Witch's powers are. The two main characters, Scarlet Witch and Vision. You've got a sometimes mutant, although I don't think this version of Scarlet Witch is ever going to be identified as such. But basically just a person who has the power to... It's described as magic, but it's just reality warping. So I don't know. I guess there's really no difference. But the other character, Vision, which if you've seen any of the recent Avengers movies, was a little more prominently featured in. Scarlet Witch seems like she was just hanging around waiting for Vision to die so that she could react in a lot of that Avengers stuff. It's kind of tacked on. It hasn't really done a whole lot with her character up until now. So that's one thing that I was looking forward to this show was that, there's so much more to these are some of the more complex characters when it comes to our Marvel heroes. Being somebody so Scarlet Witch was also one half of a set of twins. Quicksilver was her brother, and Quicksilver was killed by Ultron in the second Avengers movie. She's been basically held captive. Up until she joined the Avengers, she was being used. She was being experimented on. She can control reality, which has to be fucked up. I mean, that's got to mess with your head right there. So that's a lot that you can dig into with a character. That's a lot more than you can dig into than Captain America. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a great character, but like, okay, the guy wants to serve his country. He's willing to inject himself with a potion to do so, and it worked. All right. There's not a whole lot to unpack there. Vision, there's a whole lot to unpack with Vision. He's a completely new form of life. What is he even? He's artificial intelligence that was created by artificial intelligence that has human emotions, maybe. So these are a couple of the most interesting and complex characters that Marvel has had on the Avengers team that they really haven't done much with. So the fact that they're focusing on them to develop their first TV show for Disney Plus, perfect idea. Now, the actual show itself and what is it? Still don't know. I've seen 3 episodes.
Wow. So, okay.
But I can tell you what it looks like, and it looks like classic television with a little bit of David Lynchian weirdness thrown in to make you think, well, there's something else going on here. And knowing that Scarlet Witch can control, she can control reality, like I've said a few times now. But the extent to which she can control reality, we don't really know. If you are familiar with her history in the comics, she can control like all of reality. With just saying the words "no more mutants," she made all the mutants disappear from the Marvel universe. Gone. All the X-Men gone.
Huh.
Now, obviously, we found them again. But that's, this is the type of power that we're talking about that this character has. Now, we haven't seen any evidence of that yet, but that seems to be what this show is. Unless there's something else going on, we're assuming that what we see in the show, which looks like classic television, is this like bubble universe that the Scarlet Witch has created to contain her and Vision, who we thought was dead. Maybe she brought him back. I don't know. I guess if she can control reality to that point, she can just have her boyfriend come back to life. So episode 1 looks like the Dick Van Dyke Show. Kind of set up more like an episode of I Love Lucy, but has all that 50s classic television elements in there. And not a whole lot of meta stuff either. It's not like they're nodding and winking at the camera the whole time. They're doing honest to God setups like, we confused the dates and she thought it was the anniversary and he thought it was the boss is supposed to come over for dinner. And so the boss shows up and she greets him at the door with the nightgown and hilarity ensues. Right? And they're doing classic sitcom setups, classic punchlines. Some of it's funny. Most of it is just like, it's charming, but it's like watching Nick at Night, but then every once in a while, something goes weird, Mm-hmm. And visually they do it great. 'Cause like they're doing, a traditional, more square TV format. There's bars on the side of the screen. And everything's shot like it's a 3-camera sitcom, and then will come in and somebody will say something kind of, or the word sword will pop up or something with sword on it because that seems to be the organization behind whatever's going on. Sword is kind of the if SHIELD is the FBI, Sword is the CIA, and yeah, so when these moments happen, things get more cinematic. So it goes to like just a single camera that can do a real close-up shot or something like that. So, yeah, so far I've 3 episodes in, and it feels like the first half hour of Blue Velvet, where it looked a normal humdrum movie, but something's on here, right? There's some weirdness. There's, some creep, a fucking gas tank waiting in the wings to like shake things up, or something's going on. And it has progressed. Like, so episode 1 was 50s. By the end of that episode, I think they go into color. And so then episode 2 is like 60s style, and then 70s by episode 3. So I guess we're going to get, 80s style sitcom in episode 4, if that's the way that this show is trending. I mean, they have 10 episodes, so they can't go all the way that way. They'd go into the future.
Yeah.
But at some point, they're going to have to, I imagine, break this format. I mean, we knew from all the ads that they were going to be doing a lot of nods to classic television. I just didn't know how far deep they were into doing that. Like, they are whole hog. They're not just doing little vignettes and throwing them in here. They're like doing whole episodes, sitcom style.
It says Rotten Tomatoes, the description says, two superpowered beings live idealized suburban lives, begin to suspect that everything is not as it seems.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And what great performances. I mean, just from everyone. Again, like, it's classic sitcom, so it's not hilarious. Because it doesn't have the rhythms and the sense of humor that modern shows do. It's not going for that. And it's not trying to modernize old sitcom. It's trying to emulate old sitcom. But it's so damn charming that it's still fun to watch. And Elizabeth Olsen is fantastic. She gets to do absolutely nothing in those Avengers movies and gets to do everything in this show. And she's just a delight. And Paul Bettany, I already had managed to see him in better roles that actually showed off his talent more so than his role as Vision. And he gets to stretch his legs just as much. And the two of them are great. They are just fun and charming to watch. And their supporting cast really strong too. Kathryn Hahn is in it, and she plays like just kind of the smarmy neighbor. It's like always in
she does that
one's business. Kathryn Hahn can do anything, but she does smarmy really well.
Yeah.
But she is just, I think, an overlooked talent. I mean, not that she's not getting work, but she is so fucking talented. I don't know if
she's so overlooked. Seems like she's been working for like the last 20 years pretty steady.
Yeah. But, honestly, she could carry like a Carol Burnett style variety show. Like, she's that talented.
She has her own show on HBO, and it's not that great.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe I'll check it out and then shut up.
It's a single mom drama.
I didn't know that I hadn't seen that she had her own show.
I'm a middle-aged divorced woman with a kid kind of drama. Like,
all right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's.
Well, I say it's not that good. It's not for me. It's not aimed at me.
Sure. Right.
Like, my wife ate it up with a spoon.
I think that you could probably say that about anything that HBO does, it's either for me or not for me. I've never seen them do anything I was like, wow, this looks like shit. What the fuck is this shit? They always have fantastic looking shows, and they usually have, pretty good writers and actors on them too. Just sometimes they're not, like, I don't know.
Oh,
tell me 20 more times that Euphoria is brilliant. I'm still not. It's like, it is, everything about its marketing is telling me not to watch it. So I don't know, dude. There's just too much shit out there.
Well, I see, and I disagree. There's a few seasons of Entourage where I was like, this is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Entourage is, well, I don't know. I think it's a stupid piece of shit show in general, but
the first 3 seasons were great.
Yeah.
Maybe in the first 4. But yeah, once I guess apparently it realized it was losing its audience and tried to reclaim what it was at the end, but by then I stopped watching.
Yeah.
They lost me. Like, they lost the Medellin season when they started making that movie. That's the season they lost me.
That's about where I tried to start watching it, and I was like, if somebody says Medellin one more fucking time without telling me what the fuck a Medellin is, I'm going to throw my shoe at the television. And I still don't know.
Johnny Gromit.
I watched that.
Johnny Drama was great.
HBO has The Dead Don't Die, which is the Jim Jarmusch film about vampires. Zombies. The zombie film. One with Bill Murray and Adam Driver and Chloe Sevigny.
Is it like a campy type of movie?
It's beyond camp. It's beyond camp into farce and full-on meta. It's everything.
Is it good?
It's good. I mean, look, I'm a big fan of Jim Jarmusch. And, this isn't, I'm not going to say it's, it's nowhere near his best work because he's done some just amazing film work. Dead Man is one of my favorite films. This isn't going to be a classic of the Jim Jarmusch library. It's a really fun and funny film. And it's kind of really putting a flag on the fact that zombie movies are really just about, it's always just a metaphor for people, right? That's why not the Walking Dead. What was the first, the George Romero zombie film? It takes
Night of the Living Dead.
Right. Part of it takes place in a mall, right? Or am I thinking the other one? I think I might be getting them confused. The second one that takes place in the mall. But it takes place in the mall for a reason, because it's supposed to be like, hey, this is what people are. They're just zombies. They're just walking around in a mall consuming. And the zombies in The Dead Don't Die they do eat people, but they're also obsessed with whatever they were obsessed with when they were alive. So, middle-aged hicks that are swarming the hardware store, and there's, Iggy Pop, and I can't remember the actor who plays. She's in a bunch of Jim Jarmusch films, kind of one of his stable of actors, but they play two of the first zombies to pop out of the ground, and they go into a diner, kill the two people working there, and then see the coffee and like drinking coffee right out of the pot. And every time you see him after that, Iggy Pop's got the full pot of coffee and he's drinking it. So, it's like the metaphor of us being the zombies is like more prevalent than any other zombie film. And it's full on meta. Like early on I think it's the first scene that we see Adam Driver and Bill Murray together. They're they work for the police. They're driving around, and it's on the radio, and the song is The Dead Don't Die. And it's this country song about how the dead don't die and they live on in our memories or whatever. And Bill Murray kind of like, he's listening to the song and he's like, the song seems familiar. And Adam Driver goes, yeah, it's the theme.
What?
Yeah. And then they full on break later on in the movie. They like get stuck in they're kind of in a pinch. They're surrounded by zombies and they're like, well, what now? And like Adam Driver makes reference to the script. Well, in the script says we do this. And he's like, the script? He's like, you've seen this? And Adam's like, yeah, I've seen the script. And Bill Murray's like, the full script. Because Jim only sent me my pages. So, but I mean, they don't do it constantly throughout the movie. Basically, I think it's just done so that it's just done out of plot convenience, really. But I'm totally fine with that because it's just a zombie film. It doesn't have to make sense.
It's true.
Oh, and the bigger message of the film is also, I guess the energy companies they've started fracking on the North and South poles in the movie, and they messed up the Earth's rotation, and so the Earth slows way down, and so the day super long and the nights get super long, and that also like causes all kinds of other weirdness to happen, including the zombies, and everybody's like concerned with other shit. Like the planet's coming to a stop, which means that eventually, I don't know, we're just all going to fly off or something. I don't like, it's not going to be good. We cannot survive the planet stopping rotating.
We'll be flung into space.
It'll kill us all. Well, not really. I mean, gravity still exists, but it would fuck things up so much that we wouldn't be able to grow food or survive or have an atmosphere or anything. So it would kill everyone on the planet. And people are going around complaining about how long the days are and why the radio doesn't work, why their cell phone doesn't work the same as it used. It's a totally fun zombie movie in between all that. It's funny. It's gory. It's got exciting parts in it. It's not just completely like stupid and campy. It just has kind of stupid, campy moments that I actually really appreciate.
So it's self-referential in a good way. It doesn't come off lame,
right? Because it doesn't hang the whole movie on it, right? It just does it when it wants to kind of give the audience a nudge and go, oh, come on, we're just making a zombie movie, right? Like, let's not take this too seriously.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Here's 3 great reasons to get the new Samsung Galaxy S21 5G at T-Mobile. 1, it's free for both current and new customers when you trade in an eligible device. 2, T-Mobile's the leader in 5G coverage. So 3, you can unleash 5G speeds in more places with your new phone. Get the new Galaxy S21 free at T-Mobile, the leader in 5G coverage.
Phone via 24 monthly bill credits plus tax. If you cancel credit, stop, and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us. Qualifying credit and consumer plan required. See details at T-Mobile.com.
London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG, open makes more possible. London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG, open makes more possible.
ChristopherMedia.net.
The Weedsman Podcast.
So, cannabis. We should talk about some cannabis.
Yeah. Reefer.
How is your cannabis anyway?
Good. Had a new tank today. It's recommended by the bud tender. Digging that.
What's new about it? Is it
just a different brand?
Tank different? Okay. So
yeah.
Anything? What brand?
I'm
curious.
High Life.
I'm just wondering if it was one of the ones that I'd seen popping up on the recreational scene.
Oh, what's going on over there? You back to 510s yet?
Yeah, the 510s are pretty plentiful again, and well stocked and well priced as well. Well, not when you compare it to what you're paying on the medical side, but you can get one for $50 now, which wasn't the case a few weeks ago. They were $65 and up.
Jesus.
So they've come back down to a somewhat reasonable price.
Yeah. $50 for rec, that's not, yeah. There's $40 med cartridges out there, so.
But, this is not going to last forever. Like, I'm sure these businesses are doing well, but these prices are not going to stand because people are just going to go back to the black market eventually. Wait a minute. Yeah, here it is. I was just looking at a story earlier about the numbers from November. So the full numbers of, I guess they only have here Arizona, California, Colorado, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, and Oregon. They have the full comp numbers of being able to compare from last year how their growth in their industry is doing. This is November of last year. It was the first time that they noticed that there was a dip in sales. Pretty much across the board. Every state experienced this.
Yeah, I saw this. First thing I thought was Christmas.
Possibly, but we're talking about...
What the holidays. I should say more. I thought it was the holidays.
Yeah, but alcohol and drug sales and all the vices, this stuff usually goes up around the holidays. The more you see your family, the more pot you need.
But not in a year where everyone's, a lot of people are broker than they were last year.
Yeah, maybe.
Got to buy Christmas gifts, buy a little less reefer.
I don't know. There might be something to that, but I don't know that explains why. I mean, like, people aren't just going to go. They're going to just buy less gifts, right? They're not going to buy less pot. They're going to be like, hey, you understand, like, times are tough. It doesn't mean you buy less pot for yourself.
It could. Some stoners. You
could, but your story doesn't tell me why a 10% drop in sales from the prior year when they've seen, like, month over month, like 10% increase. Like, that could be an anecdotal story of something that happens. There's a bigger story going on behind why, like, obviously Colorado has a well-established market, but it's still growing, and others, have newer markets that shouldn't be seeing any shrinkage yet. So I think a lot of this, like, pandemic, I'm sure could be a factor in this, but maybe a compounding factor on top of the fact that, prices are still too high or taxes are too high on it. And, when you're looking to cut back, maybe the numbers that we're seeing is that, okay, we have to tighten the belt some. Do we buy less cannabis, or do we just buy our cannabis from a cheaper source?
Well, there's also
so that we can have the same amount of cannabis.
There's also this. Maybe people are reporting less. Maybe 2020 times are tight. Maybe less sales were reported.
Right. But again, could that happen? Yeah. Is this happening enough to make an overall difference in the numbers? I mean, that you're talking about that everyone would be doing this.
That's true.
So I don't know. I think it's more, belt tightening, I'm sure it comes into play, but I don't think it's that you just decide to buy, an eighth instead of a quarter. You just decide that it's not worth spending that premium for it to get it from the dispensary. That you can, make some calls to somebody that you knew back in college and probably find a hookup and get it for cheaper on the black market.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it bears out this year.
Yeah. Well, again, that wasn't all of last year. That was just November.
Yeah.
So we saw, and that's another reason why it was puzzling, because pandemic hit in the spring of last year. We saw cannabis sales skyrocket and continue to grow all throughout the pandemic, and then suddenly stop and reverse that trend in November.
November was the election. Maybe people weren't in a weed buying mood for the election. Who knows?
No, come on. If you're a weed smoker, the election's going to make you buy more weed, regardless of what side you're on. And buying more weed might just be it too. Maybe over the course of the pandemic, people were consuming more and more cannabis and looking at that total bill that they're given to, their local dispensary, and it's adding up to hundreds of dollars a month. And they're going, oh, this is kind of getting out of control, So you want to still buy that same amount of weed? You still want to smoke, a half-o a week or some shit? Then, you could find it cheaper on the black market. So I don't know. None of the trends that we see in the sale of cannabis have anything to do with the trends of smoking cannabis. It all has to do with how people are acquiring cannabis. We see sales go up in recreational or medical anywhere across the U.S. They go up, they go down. None of this is reflecting the consuming habits of the people in the state. Those remain steady. The amount of people who want to smoke weed or consume it in any way, and the amount of cannabis that they smoke, is not going to change a whole lot.
Yeah, although stoners didn't fall off the map. Just their money did.
Yeah, That's what I'm saying. It's just where the money's going that we're tracking with these numbers. So if the money isn't going to the dispensaries, we know it's not because they've reached a limit. We know that it's not because Colorado has saturated its market. Even now, many years into its program, it still has it's not saturated its market enough to get rid of the black market.
It's amazing how many government officials need basic economic lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, if something's super expensive, people tend to not buy it.
Right. If someone were to pick me to go to Congress and convince them to remove it from Schedule 1 and get rid of all of this, actually to just end the war on all drug crime across the board. I'll come in, open up my wallet, and take out a dollar bill and throw it on the ground. I go, government, if you don't pick that up, somebody else is. That represents all the money in the world being spent on drugs. It's going to be spent on drugs regardless. You have no say in that. You have no say ultimately in what people are going to do in their own homes or on their own time, or regardless of what your laws are. People are going to do drugs because they're adults and they have choices, right?
Yeah.
The question to you is, are you going to pick up that dollar, or is somebody else?
I like dollars.
That's the only question. So a couple ways that COVID has been directly affecting the cannabis market, though. In California, they just extended the expiration date. So if you have a medical card in California, and I don't know how often they have to get theirs re-upped. I know in Michigan it's a yearly occurrence, right? Or did they go to 2 years?
It's 2 years.
2 years, right. So every 2 years you got to re-up your medical card. In California, they're saying that, let's see, the expiration date for those cards has been extended indefinitely per an executive order signed by Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday. So any card that would have expired on or after March 4th of 2020, your card, that applies to people whose cards have well past expired last year. And they're saying, just keep on rolling. That we're just going to keep on going with this until we can get COVID behind us.
Wow. I'm sure that won't backfire on them at all.
Yeah. Right. That won't affect at all the tenuous hold they have on that market.
Yeah.
So, and there was a Michigan dispensary also that was going an extra mile on promoting the COVID vaccine, saying that they're going to give a free joint to anyone who gets vaccinated.
I saw that. They're in Walled Lake.
Yeah.
So what, you got to
Google map it.
No, what do you got to show them? Like you're like fucking, I got vaccinated sticker. You got to bring in your record. How's that work?
Well, I guess, I don't know. They have paperwork that they give you. You know, I mean, it's pretty important to people that they be able to prove that they are vaccinated. Some people, you know, are getting vaccinated because they want to be able to go back to work somewhere someday.
Why?
So I don't know. I mean, they're giving away PRs, right? Like, I'm sure it's just the shake that they couldn't sell anyway.
Is this some bullshit ass shit, or are you going to give away like?
I'm sure it is
some good shit.
Whatever.
No one ever gives away good shit.
No dispensary gives away their good shit. It's a question of how bad is it? Because some of the shit that I've gotten for a free gift that I'll put in quotes tasted like it was broken up roaches.
That's right. You told me about that. I don't know about that. That sounds shady as hell.
Yeah.
But I will say, bad dispensary weed is still better than still better than a lot of the weed we used to get back in the day. Well, that's it. You got.
I've gotten some really bad stuff though. The other stuff that I've gotten didn't even really get me high, and I swear to God, what they're doing is they have to be taking the plant material that they're using for concentrates. So they're already stripping most of the THC out of that shit, and then they're using it to put in their house PRs.
Because bad medical dispensary weed It's still better than a lot of shit I got back in the day.
Because like even a joint of swag should really bake my ass, because I don't smoke a lot of actual, flower these days. Mm-hmm. When I got my last shipment, I got two 1 gram jars of wax, and in order to get my total over 100, I got a PR, right? So I got $12, some name strain of whatever. But it wasn't some top of the line one, right? It was kind of a cheapo PR still.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a house it wasn't a shake PR. It was like Gorilla Glue or something like that, $8. Wasn't anything big. But I got so fucking baked off of that joint because I'm used to smoking the wax and just, taking little hits. And that thing lasted. I got totally baked 3 times on one joint.
Nice.
Where I was totally crusty and just wanted to veg out in front of the television.
That's efficient right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Arizona opened up their recreational program this week.
Yeah. Welcome to the party, everybody.
With lines around the block, people waiting to get in there and purchase their first legal cannabis in Arizona.
That nice little
place.
Corner of the country, Arizona, Nevada, California, all legal. Yeah. And then you go up the coast, California, and then Washington and Oregon. I mean, the West Coast isn't the west part of the country isn't fucking around with weed. East Coast, let's go.
Yeah, one of the people waiting in line was interviewed by a local television station, and she says, "I've been waiting my whole life. I closet. Now I can come on out."
She talk about weed?
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. So anyway, about this dispensary.
Yeah. We also have audio of her.
Also, I'm very high right now.
I mean, I get what she's saying, but I don't know. Let's not try and cast pot smokers as a persecuted people.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't get the respect that we should, but we're not I can't tell my friends that I smoke pot because they might hate me, or I can't, I get beat up or abused because of my pot smoking. You're equating your pot smoking with,
dumb shit.
You're trying to appropriate some stuff there that just doesn't fly.
Yeah. All right. So, follow us on the social medias. Twitter at the Weedman 420, Instagram at the Weedman Podcast. Like us on Facebook. You can email us, the Weedman Podcast at ChristopherMedia.net, which is where you can go, hit the PayPal banner. If you want to donate to us, you want to get some money. Dude, this is a good cartridge. I am fucking stupid high right now. There's an Amazon banner. Click through that. Helps us out. Helps you out. By making your stuff not costing any more, and helps us out by we get a little piece of that. And then, where do you listen to us? I need the list. I can't. I'm not even pretending. I'm gonna try to do this without the list. That's how high I am, everybody. So props to this High Life cartridge. But you can listen to us on Amazon Music, on Audible, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Yeah. I mean, it's all the podcasts there, but hey, YouTube Music's a thing now, so it probably enables you to listen to us through YouTube Music. So, yeah, subscribe to the Christopher Media channel on YouTube, and everything's in playlists for each show there. So, other than that, stay high.
Stay high.
Here's 3 great reasons to get the new Samsung Galaxy S21 5G at T-Mobile. 1, it's free for both current and new customers when you trade in an eligible device. 2, T-Mobile's the leader in 5G coverage. So 3, you can unleash 5G speeds in more places with your new phone. Get the new Galaxy S21 free at T-Mobile, the leader in 5G coverage.
Phone via 24 monthly bill credits post-tax. If you cancel credit, stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us. Qualifying credit and consumer plan required. See details at T-Mobile.com.
London Stock Exchange Group is here to be your essential global markets infrastructure and data partner, where open isn't just a platform, but a philosophy, giving you the freedom to make your mark in the world. LSEG. Open makes more possible.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.